going on, everybody? Welcome to IndieQuest, a celebration of the indie and obscure. My name is Josh. I'm one of your co-hosts today, and I'm joined by my awesome other co-host, Steve. How are you today?
I'm doing fan-freaking-tastic. The autumn weather is rolling in around here, and I am ready for it, even though it's going to get hot again because it's only September. Plus, I've been playing fun games. We're going to talk about a fun game. It's just top to bottom, high-quality stuff.
And I'm also joined by the captain himself, Captain Drachma. Damn, I almost didn't say your name correctly. What's up, Seth? How are you?
Doing good. I am also enjoying the weather, although as I was watching football today, my TV told me that it's supposed to be in the 80s coming soon. It's like, dang it, I thought we were done with it, but oh well. I am still peering over that horizon at autumn and started looking through some spooky games, which will be coming soon, right?
Right.
Us talking about them and
yes.
just playing them in general. So excited for that time, for sure.
Yeah, we already started watching some horror movies. We watched all of the Final Destination movies, which that's just a lot of fun. You know, they're dumb.
Yeah.
They have it's a cookie cutter format, but it's just fun to watch and just kind of chill and hang out, maybe play a game in the background. Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, I like Final Destination movies and the Saw movies. Any horror movie that's like a bunch of people in a room just wanted to think of like 6 or 7 fun ideas and then try to write a story to connect them is always a good time because you're just waiting for the next little puzzle box to show up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, oh, this thing is hanging up, like this weight is about to fall. Oh no, it's not the weight. They got electrocuted by the aquarium or something different, that you don't expect.
Yes.
I love it. It's so good.
Do you Leah and I, whenever we're behind a lumber truck, we always talk about Final Destination, and we're always like, we got to get out from behind this truck. Do you guys do the same thing?
Yes. Yes. Or like even when I work for FedEx, but way a long time ago, I used to load trailers, and we would often get a lot of tire shipments. So while stacking up, like walls of tires, I'd always be like, oh, this feels very Final Destination-y if this thing just falls on top of me right now. But
yeah.
Very much.
Also, I've been playing Silksong a lot, which, I mean, this episode's not about Silksong, but, I think we've all started it. It's amazing. We expected it to be, right?
Dude, it's so good. It's so good. I'm enjoying it quite a lot, although, I have had differing opinions from, how I feel about Hollow Knight, which I think is a good thing. Like, it shouldn't just be more Hollow Knight necessarily, although it is in a lot of ways, but they've done quite a few things where they've segmented that path away, and I'm enjoying it. The more and more I play it, for anyone out there that maybe played it for an hour so far or just barely touched it, just keep pushing on, because I feel like it's one of those games that just gets better as you play.
I felt the exact same way about the first Hollow Knight, but in the opposite direction, where I remember the first Hollow Knight, there was like a point at like 5 hours in where I felt like it slowed a bit and I didn't really know where to go. And I was like, what's next? What's the deal? But in Silksong, I'm about 3-4 hours in, and I feel kind of the opposite, where I'm like, there's too many options on where I can go. Like, I don't even know what the right place is, and I know that it'll all just kind of eventually funnel you to the right place, so you don't have to worry about it. But I'm like, I'm trying to keep like mental math on like 12 different locations across 4 different maps that are directions I could go, and it's hard for me to like pick a lane and stick with it.
Unlike I ever did in Hollow Knight, I don't think I ever used any map markers back in Hollow Knight, but I'm using them like crazy now. I bought all of them that I could early on, and I'm just marking that map. Every time I get to a place where I'm like, okay, clearly this is something I have to do later, I'll mark it. And then as soon as I get the obvious ability that comes in every gated exploration every couple hours, I'm like, all right, time to go check all these markers. And it kind of keeps me task oriented, I suppose, in that way.
Yeah, of course, there's the shopkeeper again for the maps. And I was like, I have enough to buy everything in your shop. I'm just buying all the map stuff because
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I know that's like the most important thing to get like early on in
Yes.
these games, just so you're not like lost, you know. But
Yes.
yeah, I was doing the same thing, just like, oh, there's an area I can't quite reach, or there's something in the way or whatever. Mark it, and I'll just turn around.
Yep.
You know, there's always something else to go do, another boss to fight. And all the bosses have been really fun and different, but some feel a little bit like a Hollow Knight. They feel in the same universe. I guess that's a good thing, right? Because it's a sequel. But yeah, it's really, they're impressive so far. I'm like, damn, that boss was one of my favorite bosses, and then I'll do the next boss. I'm like, damn, that was one of my favorite bosses. You know, it's like it's gonna be hard to like have a favorite when this is all wrapped up.
Yeah, I will. I think the last thing I'll say on it, now that you're talking about the bosses, I feel that this is a more challenging game. And the original Hollow Knight is also a challenging game. But they turned it up to 11 in certain places, which I think that maybe there was a clambering for. I'm not sure, although I've seen a little bit of negativity around that, like, oh, this is too hard. I don't necessarily think that that's the case yet. I have not made it very far. I'm like 8 hours in, so I'm probably going to hit a wall. I've already hit a couple miniature walls, but it is tough. It is a tough game, which it feels even more Soulsy to me, honestly, than even the original Hollow Knight, which I love because I love Dark Souls games, but it's tough. It's a tough game for anybody out there that hasn't tried it yet. Most Metroidvania games, like, they're as hard as the gates, really, but most bosses aren't all that tough. This game's tough. It's tough. It's a tough game. It'll challenge you.
That's interesting and kind of good to hear. There's no way for me to give this thought without sounding like I'm bragging, but I assure you I'm not. But to this point, I have felt like the difficulty was a little on the tame side. Now, I've played a lot less than the two of you.
Yeah.
I've only, for like context, I've only beaten one boss that gives you a trophy when you beat it, of which I assume there are many. So, of the like bosses and mini bosses I've come across so far, I've been able to take all of them down like first, maybe second try. And so I'm waiting. I'm waiting for it to kick it up a notch.
You're close. I think he's really close because I felt the same way like 2 to 3 hours in. I'm like, this isn't too bad. And then there is a certain, we're not gonna spoil anything from this game really, but there is a certain boss, an area where you're like, okay, yeah, now the gloves are coming off. You know, at least to me, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'll.
All right.
It'll be extremely light spoiler. It won't make any sense to anyone unless you've played this game.
There you go.
But let me know, Steve, when you made it to the red ant area. Because
Okay.
have you seen any red ants yet? I assume no.
Okay, now we're approaching a little more spoilery territory, but is this an area where you like attack things to move around?
Yeah, a little bit, but I think you do that in other areas too.
Okay, so maybe not. I think I've
You
seen
would
little.
Yeah,
You would
I've
know
seen little scuttling bugs that you could maybe say are ants, but now I'm not sure when I'm thinking.
you would
harder
know.
about
Well,
it.
you would know.
You know what's interesting
Okay.
about this game? Is I never have done the ant area yet. It's still sitting there for me.
Oh.
I left it because I was like, I think this might be
that.
I think this is a little too challenging in this area. I'll come back later. I still haven't went back there. So yeah,
Yeah, I haven't
definitely
hit
a
that
tough
yet.
area.
And that, folks, is a key difference between Josh and I, because Josh is like, yeah, that's way too challenging. There's way more places for me to go. I don't need to do that right now. And I just threw myself at that wall until I got through it.
Yeah, there's like 6 other paths I could go. You know, I could always come back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll jump right into the real review of today. I just had to get a little bit of Silksong off my chest because it's been a good weekend with it.
It's gotta happen.
Yeah. But we're here, apparently 15 episodes later, to review the next in the Supergiant catalog, and today we're going to be reviewing Pyre. So, I guess we can start off with like a loose description of the game. Pyre is a party-based RPG from the creators Bastion and Transistor. Lead your band of exiles to freedom through a series of mystical competitions, which is basically like a 3v3 basketball game. Very different, but not
Yeah.
like too different. I don't know. There's lots of like Supergiant isms in this game. So I guess we can get into that a little bit.
Yeah, totally. That's an interesting description. I'll say before I even get into that, for folks that have not played this game before, we will start out and we will give broad level how the game works, our impressions on some of the aesthetics, things like that. There won't be any story, character information spoilers until after we put it on the quest log. So we'll give kind of our general thoughts and an overview of the game. We'll put it on the quest log, and then you can, if you have played the game or if you don't care, you can stay after that, where we'll go a little deeper into some story spoilers, and I think probably at that point a little more into some of our personal journeys through the game, because I don't think this is a spoiler to say it is a game very much that you kind of like build your own narrative. You can do things in a very, very different order that will significantly change the experience that you have, or at least the interactions that you have. So, all that to say, back to the description, it is funny that they call it a party-based RPG. I don't know that I would use the word RPG for Pyre at all. Now, that maybe that's like a relic of the time that this game came out, because there are RPG systems. After the fight, you do get essentially experience and you level up to essentially get skills up to a max level of 5, but that feels to me like part and parcel. Like every video game has bars that fill up at this point. I think like the metric for what I would consider an RPG isn't just like one notch on the ruler higher than that. But maybe they just literally felt weird saying, guys, this is a 3-on-3 sports game. It's a little basketball, it's a little soccer, but it's a sports game.
Yeah. I guess I don't necessarily mind it being in the action RPG vein, because it does feel like almost a little bit like Arena Secret of Mana, where two characters don't move on their own. Like you can attack, and those attacks are impacted by the leveling systems outside of the battles themselves. I don't know. The way I thought about it is like, what if there wasn't a ball? And there were no goals, but the whole premise was to defeat the enemy team. Then we would probably call it an action RPG, right? That's true. When they introduced the ball, they're like, okay, now it's sports, which is true. It is, but if you ever wanted to play a 3-on-3 basketball game where you could directly influence your character's ability to play the game better, that's kind of what it does. Is it truly an RPG? Probably not. You don't level up after battles in the same way. You do, I guess. You get experience, but it's not the same way. I don't know. To me, Pyre is unlike anything I've really ever played. It's very different.
Yeah.
Like it's such a unique genre mashup, and I kind of just appreciate it a lot for what the high, lofty kind of ideals it sets out to convey to the player. Kind of super interesting, especially since they did this before Hades, which is crazy. Like this is the ultra unique, and then they kind of like fall back in line a little bit more with Hades and like the typical roguelite thing. Like this is one of the most wild gameplay design type games that I've ever played, honestly.
Right. And I will say this is a good comparison to like Battleship Brigade, where it's like this would only happen in indie games. Like there's no other place this could happen. And I think Supergiant's probably the only person, like the only studio that could make this game and make it as confidently as they do, because they have that pedigree, right? Like I feel like and this one might be the one that gets like shined on a little bit less than the rest, but to me so far, I like after playing it, I was like very impressed with what they brought to the table, even compared to the other games.
I have a thought around that. I think it has something to do. I'm so sorry about this, about any listeners out there. I think that the three of us came in with an open mind while playing Pyre. I think that the majority of video game players don't want to be blindsided by a sports gaming experience, which is probably what a lot of people got. And they're like, well, this is I don't want to play basketball. Like, I don't like sports games. And that's why I play games by Supergiant. So why would I? But for the three of us, we kind of knew that going in. And personally, I do enjoy sports games from time to time. So I did not mind that at all. So I think that that's my opinion on some of the negativity around Pyre. I don't know what you guys think.
I think that is a huge part of it, and I think we have the advantage of playing it after Hades because we understand kind of where it fits in the Supergiant's like lineage.
Mm-hmm.
If you think about like the perspective of someone playing Pyre day one that has been with Supergiant for as long as they've been releasing games, I'm sure like almost everybody out there, they started with Bastion. It, knocked their socks off. It was like a high budget, fantastic, fun action RPG indie game. And they were like, wow, I love Bastion. Sequel. They're waiting for the sequel to Bastion. Transistor comes out, which is not the sequel to Bastion by any stretch, mechanically or narratively, but it is kind of Bastion-y in the combat if you want it to be. It's like Bastion that you can optionally play turn-based is how you can look at it. So like they're still holding on to, I want that isometric action RPG, like combat focused game. And then Pyre comes out and it's like, that's gone. Like there's really no shreds of Bastion left here mechanically. Now, oddly enough, Hades would go on to be like Super Bastion. So like it was coming, Supergiant was cooking something for those people, but Pyre probably to them felt a little bit like they're drifting further and further away from the thing that I originally loved 8 years ago when I started following this studio, which I understand, we're all victims of perception, but I'm with the two of you where I'm like, I don't know why this has the reputation as the worst Supergiant. I say the worst Supergiant game, like people love all of them, but people always talk about this one like, Pyre didn't hook me as much as the other ones, I didn't put as much time into Pyre, and I personally did not feel that way.
Yeah, I mean, same. And maybe we can start getting into some more specifics around, like outside of just like thoughts and feelings, and go through kind of the more typical, here's how I felt about this specific thing. So how did you guys feel about the art style of Pyre? Personally, I was like, oh yeah, Supergiant. Hell yeah. Like,
yeah, for sure.
It is a Supergiant ass game. Like it is everything. I will say that Bastion is like where they started, and you could see some of that, the roots of where they would eventually go. But then Transistor really hits home what Supergiant wanted to be in terms of visuals. Mm-hmm. And then Pyre just carried that through and then right into Hades. Like they are from Transistor to Hades, not a lot of change, especially like character portrait wise. Like the character portraits in these games, incredible. They are literally artistic design pieces that you could get these characters and hang them up, frame them in your house. They're that good looking.
Yeah.
So what did you guys think?
I just want to give a shout out to the big overview map.
Oh yes,
it's just like the most beautiful like hand painted thing you've ever seen, and you get to like fly over it in like pseudo 3D, and it just feels so cool. Like it feels awesome to go all around. The area of the downwell or the downwell? No, the what's it called?
Downside? Is that what it is?
Downside. Yeah, the downside.
Is it downside?
Yeah. Going through the downside is surprisingly beautiful for being such a sad place,
I felt
it's
the exact same way.
It's dense.
It is.
Visually very dense. Mm-hmm. It was almost overwhelming sometimes. There were times where I was looking at the map and I'm like, I don't even necessarily know like what the road is. What like where are my characters going to travel? Like this is just it's a giant looming like skeleton of a dragon over this like bubbling bog with like spires and stuff shooting out from either side, and I'm like, this is just it's like a fantasy book cover.
It is. Josh mentioned that it looks so good. I feel like anytime you're in you have your wagon on the overworld, you could take a screenshot and use it as a screensaver. Like it is just a visually stunning, gorgeous game. And I don't know. I mean, Supergiant's just really good at this point. It almost reminds me of like the PS1 days when we had pre-rendered backgrounds and they could be super pretty but they just use like this cool newer style hand painted, and it's awesome. I love it. And like I said, they carry it over into their next game, and then Hades 2 can be seen now too. Is also really good. So yeah, very good visuals.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and on top of just like the way the map looks, there's something that Supergiant does. I'm sure there's a term for this. Animation nerds will know. But something about Supergiant's animations like look and feel different from other games. I'm specifically thinking in Hades, when you die and Zagreus kind of does like this like little backflip and lands in the pool and returns. It's got this like almost like FMV quality to the animation there. And Pyre does the same thing in the animations of your characters dunking into the Pyre, where it gets like a little blurrier and really smooth, and it just it has like a certain oomph to it that I don't know how they do it, because I've never seen any other game do this.
Yeah, I think we're used to like the the best one I can think of is Sea of Stars. And I know I reference this a lot, but when I'm thinking of like a sprite pixel-based game, there are frames of animation for all the characters. And I think what Steve is referencing in Pyre or in a lot of Supergiant games is like you can't tell a distinct frame for these. It's so smooth. It's like they're a real person, but they're a cartoon. Mm-hmm. It's wild. And so there's no here's one frame and I can see them moving down and then down. It's like whoop, like 60, like all 60 frames. It's the smoothest thing you've ever seen. And we're only really used to seeing that in like the most AAA type stuff, not in indies. So they did a very, very good job with that animation style.
Yeah, it's almost like they hand animate it like old school Disney style, like cell animated. Yes. Almost like that's how smooth and beautiful it is every time they do that. I don't know. I'm assuming it's all 3D rendered, but whoever animates those little things, it just has a certain something that it's hard to put your finger on, but you look at it and you go, Supergiant, right? Like every single time you're like, that's them, It's just they have that very specific DNA.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've got the juice. And I will add an addendum to what I said earlier about the world maps. Those are visually quite dense. The actual maps that you play the game of Pyre on don't suffer from that. They still look incredible, but I feel like the visual clarity on those is quite obvious. Like I was never overwhelmed or had any difficulty seeing what I was trying to see, even when they mix up the locations and the backgrounds and all that stuff. It's still very legible, very readable. They knew when to like move all of their beautiful art off to the side to let you focus on the like nitty gritty action, which I appreciate.
Absolutely.
All right. You guys want to, we have the amazing, beautiful art. We also have Darren Korb again, bringing that soundtrack energy, the great, amazing strings, the orchestrations he does. You hear his same thing with the other art style. You hear his soundtrack, you're like, that's Supergiant, that's Darren Korb. But every single time he just writes bangers. Like all of his music, every single track is a banger.
I wrote in my notes, Darren Korb is the GOAT, first of all. Second, I truly believe, and this is up for debate, of course, between the three of us, right? I truly believe that up until this point, Pyre is personally my favorite OST, and I think the best. I really, really loved this OST. It's so good. And that's something that I think has been consistent, even with detractors of Pyre in its style. They all still say, amazing soundtrack. So,
yeah, it's definitely my personal favorite of the three. It might be my personal favorite of all the Supergiant games.
Yeah,
it's tough. Really good.
It is good. It is so good.
It's so good. It's like Hades is iconic, right? I can hear the theme in my head, all that stuff. But there's just, I don't know, there's just some special oomph or special pizzazz to the music in this. And every single area has music that really just sets the mood for the game and like the story itself too. It's like there's a lot of text in this game. You're reading a lot of dialogue and you're reading a lot in an actual book inside of the game as well. The music has to be good in the background. The art has to be great, right? It's going to have to grab your attention in other ways too, because other than the story's good too. But a lot of time, I didn't expect to read as much as I did. That's just a comment I'll make for the game. But having that awesome soundtrack in the background really did help a lot.
Yes, and you know it's a Supergiant game, so at some point you're gonna get like a key story moment punctuated by a nice vocal track, which always lands just right for me.
Mm-hmm. That's when you get to hear all of Darren Korb's music and Darren Korb's voice. Like that's always a fun part of these games. But yeah, I suppose that will transition us somewhat neatly into talking more in depth about gameplay. And we've already kind of done this. We've talked through kind of what you're doing, but I think that without getting into spoilers, it's pretty easy to talk about sort of the point, right? So I'll do my best to do just a high level overview of what you're doing. So you get into these battles, I suppose, that are called the rites, and you have a team of 3 characters, and you're going up against another team of 3 characters. And more so than almost any other game I've played, they set this out to be you are on completely equal footing with this other team. And that, I think, is kind of cool. Like, I enjoy that. Steve recently brought Vengeful Guardian Moonrider and talked about how you have like duels with the bosses and it feels like you're on equal footing. That's how Pyre feels for like this sports RPG thing that it is. At any time, the other team can beat you just as easily as you can beat them. It's just a matter of, in my opinion, it's kind of a matter of wit, right? I never got the opportunity, but there is an option to play this game against another person. And I think that would be very interesting and very fun for a lot of different reasons. But in general, there's an orb that lands in the middle of the arena. Your goal, I suppose, is to have a character acquire the orb, and either by running down and plunging it or passing to your other characters, move that orb to the other end, like in basketball or hockey or something like that, and put it in the goal, right? So it's called a pyre, and that's why the game is called Pyre. But you're basically plunging this ball or orb into the pyre, and depending on the character that does that for you, you will get a certain amount of pyre points, I suppose, reduced from the overall total of the enemy team. So typically both teams start with 100, but there are things that you can do throughout the game where you can either start with more, they can start with more or less or whatever, right? Depending on different things. And we can get into some more of that nitty gritty detail perhaps in the spoiler section, but that is the objective. It's fairly simple, but a lot can kind of go on as you play. So, you guys have anything else to kind of add on, I suppose?
Yeah. So that's like what you're trying to do. The actual act of playing that, then, like I said, it's 3-on-3 teams. You can only ever control one character at a time. And like your main goal is to get that ball into the enemy's pyre, but there's a lot of other, just like describing any sport, there's much more subtlety that goes into it, and your characters all have like a kit of abilities that they can use in service of that. One is that all of your characters have this aura around them that basically represents like their damage radius, and if you touch one of the 3 enemy combatants with your aura, instantly they are killed, they're vanished from the game for some amount of time. Like a timer starts where they are despawned until that time is up, and then they can come back in. But your opponents also have that aura too, so sometimes it's a little bit of like trying to figure out who has the bigger aura, or like who can like position themselves well to get that attack in. Generally speaking, your stronger characters have larger auras but are slower and harder to move around the field, and then your fast, nimble characters have a very small aura. Typically, there's some kind of exceptions to that. And then the important thing about that mechanic is that when you are holding the ball and attempting to run into the opponent's pyre, your aura goes away. So you are completely defenseless when you are actually in possession of the orb, which means that you can't just like charge forward with characters with huge auras and mash through a bunch of teams. Like you still have to be strategic about who is running the ball and when. You can, and your opponents can, everything you can do, your opponents can do in this game. So I guess I don't need to say that every time. It is a very equal game, but you can at any time cast your aura away, which it uses like a charge attack very similar to like a shield rush or something from Hades. You know, there's like a little arrow that draws on the ground, and when you let that go, it shoots your aura, again, typically in a straight line at the enemy, but that's not always the case. And if you hit them with that, that's kind of like your long range attack. But if it misses, for a brief moment, you are now exposed and have basically no defenses, and enemies can take you on. So it's sort of you want to play it strategically like you would any ranged combat. And then on top of that, your characters can do a couple other more movement-related things. These vary a little bit more depending on the character you're playing, but typically characters will have some sort of jump or dash attack to clear distance quickly. And sometimes there's added benefits of that. You know, sometimes there's damage associated with it. Sometimes it'll kind of stun enemies, things like that. It varies wildly because each character has a little bit of its own toolkit, but all characters will generally have some version of an attack that lets them cover a lot of distance quickly, so that you can position yourselves around. And so I won't get too deep into like the personal strategies I use, but I think like a general strategy as you're playing this game is, you know, you have those characters with the aura. You're not going to be able to just run, grab the ball, and head to the opponent's pyre. It is a game of positioning and trying to like force your opponents kind of into disadvantageous situations. Like you want to push them into positions that are not optimal, so you can maybe take out one or two of them, and then now you've got like the power play situation going on where you have more characters than they do. You can position better, and you can probably make a run for the pyre. So there's a lot going on, and all of that I just described happens quite often in like 5 to 10 seconds. Like some rounds of this game can be extremely fast. So anything you guys think I missed there in terms of the nitty-gritties? Oh, you can pass. That's also an important one. You can pass the orb at any time to another character.
Pass to each other, and I think a way to exemplify or like an example of what can happen, Steve covered a lot of different things, but like, and it's something that I didn't really comprehend that I could do, although I think the game tells you can do this, until the enemy character started doing it to me. But like a specific thing about this game that's super interesting and kind of brings about the strategy that you can have is that when you have the orb, you can obviously pass it to the players on your own team, but you can also throw it, and you can also aim the orb specifically at your enemies, which you would think, well, why would I want to give the orb away? I should keep possession. That's what I try to do in like basketball or football or something. But specifically in this game, because you're defenseless with the orb, you can toss it at an enemy quickly and then dash into them and kill them, right? Because now they're defenseless. So one of their biggest tank enemies that are coming at you that have this massive aura circle around, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get hit. If you plan it right, you can toss the orb at them and then poof, kill them. And now all of a sudden, they're one player down. You got them generally unsuspecting, right? It happened to me so many times. I'm like, oh no. And then it just like carved through my team because I wasn't thinking about what they were about to do. And yeah, I mean, like Steve said, it all happens very quickly. And the tide, like at any time. Now, generally, if the orb is on your end, chilling, just sitting there because it got there for whatever reason, you do feel a little bit more uneasy about it. But to me, this game feels a lot like it's basketball. I suppose it's a lot like basketball in that if the ball is on one side of the court, that ball can be driven down and you can score in a matter of seconds. Like there is hardly any advantage to having the ball in a certain position, right? Because you can easily flip that thing and have it going the other way. So, and that's what's kind of cool. You don't feel like, yes, positioning is huge with your characters, and we'll get into that, I think, later probably, but At any time, if you make a decent play, you can run down Main Street and put that thing in. So I like that about it.
Yeah, and then of course you get there's little like add-ons to every character. We can talk about that more, like what we decided to do and stuff. But there's like talismans you can put on, and then each character can level up and get various like skills associated to their moveset. So it's like an ever-evolving game at the same time in the background with all those RPG elements. And so you just layer that on this pretty fun and interesting, like unique sports game. It just starts to be like it just like starts scratching an itch in your brain. You're like, I just got to figure out the best way to play this game for myself and what my build is and what characters I'm going to choose. And then you just start like figuring out like, oh, it just starts to become a really fun, like and strategic style of game that I didn't really expect. But every time they threw something new into the mix, I was like, I didn't expect that to happen. And then it's really cool, and then I try it out, and then it becomes another tool I can use, going forward in further rights. So it's just really well executed when it comes to that too.
Yes, there's some moments that this game creates that feel so good. I forget if I mentioned this before, but when you plunge the ball into the opponent's pyre, then the character that plunged it into the pyre is removed from the game until another ball is plunged into the pyre. So if you get your opponent's pyre, it's now a 2-on-3, so you are at a disadvantage. It's like a natural way for them to kind of create tension and keep the stakes relatively even. But every now and again, with your two characters, you will still either play really well or you'll just find that opening and you'll get a second point in a row, and it feels just as good as like getting your touchdown and then 2 plays later catching the interception and running for another touchdown. You feel like you're cheating the other team, like you're taking points where you didn't deserve them, and it puts you in a phenomenal lead. It's so good.
It is so good. It is if nothing else, and I think we'll get into. I have thoughts. I have some thoughts about how this system could be better, but I think they're a little bit too specific for this broad discussion. So I'll save it. But it is aspirational without a doubt. Like this thing is such a unique system, and I applaud Supergiant for not only like starting out with the idea and thinking, well, we've already made 2 games. They're going to play this, right? So we're good. We can make this game. But then actually pushing it to be as good as it is, because it's such a unique, interesting idea that's like unlike anything that I have ever played. So I have to applaud them for putting it together. No matter how good it is, like we'll get to, of course, where we would put it on the quest log eventually, but regardless of how good the system is or how well we feel it flows, it is incredibly cool that it exists.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I was actually so impressed by it. I know that has the versus mode, but they could easily just do this as like a $10 like digital game and then like sell character packs for it, like, and people would eat this up. Like I know I would. Like if this was like a multiplayer game where you can play against your friends, oh my god, I would just play the crap out of it.
I've been fantasizing a lot lately about setting up, like inviting 7 of my friends over and doing like a 3-game like bracketed blind multiplayer tournament. And this would be the perfect game to throw in the semifinals of that, right? Like, all right, bros, now we're all playing competitive human versus human pyre. Best of 5. Let's go.
Dude,
it would be so fun.
We can have that
next
plan
Polycon. We'll get some competitive pyre going.
Exactly.
That would be great, man.
So we should mention, and I think this is another sticking point for a lot of people in their impression of this game. Everything we just described is about 15% of the actual game that you're going to be playing. Definitely more than any other Supergiant game by a factor of like 5. This game is very narrative and dialogue heavy. We'll save like the actual story events that we want to talk through for after the spoilers. We'll give like a little bit of a high level what the actual like narrative setup is. But Honestly, in spite of what the narrative setup is, I don't personally even feel like this is particularly focused on the grander narrative. It is a character narrative game. It is about your relationships and interactions with your other teammates and with the opposing teams as well. So you're going to spend a lot of time like reading conversations about your travels from match to match. There's lots of optional conversations where you can get to know individual characters better. And you will spend a significant amount of your time reading in this game. Like that is the bulk of what happens. So that's another thing where I understand if people are going in like looking for more crazy Supergiant action, they do slow down and end up reading a lot more. That's why I compare this game a lot to like when I was describing it to some other friends of ours before this, I was saying it's like 80% Citizen Sleeper, 20% NBA Jam. And I stick pretty closely to that percentage.
Yeah. Something that I think we all mildly complained about was how chatty the sword is in Transistor. But looking back on that, I can see why Supergiant did it, because as the sword talks, you're still playing the game. When you have to listen in Pyre, you're not playing any. You're reading. It just needs to be expected. Anybody out there, that this is a visual novel game with action elements. If you don't want to read, or if you're not in the mood for it, then skip Pyre until you're ready to kind of churn through it. The thing I will say about Pyre is that it's like your mileage may vary. I suppose that's the way it is for any visual novel, but there's a lot of visual novels out there that are like, this is a visual novel, and all you're going to do is read for 15 hours, and you better like it. With Pyre, you can kind of pick and choose. Like, there were certain characters that I was like, I don't really care what this character has to say all that much. I can skip through. I can skim this dialogue. But then there are certain characters where I'm like, oh, I really am engaged and invested in this character, so I'm going to read everything. So, yeah, I mean, you could certainly finish this game in under 10 hours if you're just skipping through dialogue, or if you're invested, it's going to take several more hours depending on what you're reading. Josh alluded to the book. Oh my gosh, do you want to know how much I read out of that book? Hardly any.
Same. It was too much. It's too much information.
I started looking at it and I was like, it's like every single time you do anything, 3 more pages are unlocked. I'm like, oh, I mean, I bet my time could have easily gone up by 5 hours had I read that book front to back. So it's like, oh, that's just a lot. But, you know, if you want the Pyre lore, you don't got to go to a wiki. It's in the game. So.
I will say with the whole just extremely like long narrative with like all the wordy dialogue and stuff at the beginning, I was just like, no, I'm not in the mood for this. I don't want to play. Like, it was just kind of like in that headspace for a minute. And then I was like, the story is kind of interesting. And then it actually does like pick up a little bit more. Like, I feel like it's a little slow at first. Like maybe the first 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours, I was just like, okay, yeah, I see what's going on. But then you start getting to know the characters and getting into the world. And then you're like, okay, yeah, I want to see what happens. You know, I got to see what happens at the end of this. So,
yeah, I think a lot of people will recognize this sentiment. I've never played much of this game, but it has the Dragon Quest VII problem, where it's a very long game and all you do for the first 4 hours is listen to people talk. But it's an RPG, so it just takes so long to get to the game. And if you don't know that going in, then you're going to be pretty bummed. But to your point, Josh, this game picked up. Once you get past that 3 hour point, I think it hits a nice pace.
Yeah,
right?
I think there's
really enjoyed it then.
Yeah, there's like a point where let's just say something big happens. I feel like right after that point, everything kind of ramps up a lot more, and it kind of gets a little bit of pep in its step, right? You know, I don't want to spoil what happens, but I think you guys know what I mean. But the big thing happens, or one of the big things, and then the story and everything is like maybe three to four times faster, and like just starts going and it's flowing through everything. So
Yep.
Heck yeah.
well, anything top level that you guys want to discuss before we put it on the quest log?
Should we just lay out briefly, like, the point, like what you're there? I guess the story, like very high level.
Yeah.
Give us like a paragraph overview here.
Okay, so you are someone that they call the reader because you're allowed. You're not actually allowed. You're able to read. Reading is illegal in the civilization that you're in. So you don't really know why you end up in the downside, but you do. So the downside is this place. I think they actually even reference it in game. They call it a purgatory, where exiles, prisoners are sent. People who have done bad things are sent there. And basically you're forced to try to band together with other like-minded people to earn back your freedom in the Commonwealth, which is like the upper level, right? So the way I kind of thought about it, which is stupid, right? But I almost felt like the downside was Australia or something, right? Australia, way back when, was like a huge prison continent where they just, a lot of like people who nobody wanted anything to do with, back in the whatever 1700s or whatever, they sent them to Australia. And that's why the people in Australia are there now. That's kind of the downside, because I never felt like the downside is not hell. It's just another place on this planet, I suppose. And to the point, one of you two said, like, I don't even think it'd be that bad to live there. It's super nice looking. Like it's not incredibly dangerous. People aren't dying left and right. It's just you're not really a member of civilization anymore. So I guess because of that, it's a punishment. But outside of that, it's not a terrible place to spend your time. But yeah, the goal, I suppose, of the game is to earn your freedom back as an exile and make it back up to the Commonwealth. And generally, once you get there, all your wrongdoings are absolved. And oftentimes it seems like you can almost be a person of status. Like you earned it. Yeah. So you can even be better than a lot of other people that have just been in the Commonwealth their whole lives. Mm-hmm. I suppose, let me know. You guys weigh in with anything else that you might have picked up on outside of that.
You have the narrator. We do have the omniscient narrator voice that narrates the rites, and he is like the king of everything, like the upper of the upper up the upper king. And I forget his name. He has a like very eloquent, like super long name, but it's voiced by Logan Cunningham, just like the other narrator people. And he does like a voice in this one. He's like, it's the rights, he does something like that,
Yes.
So I love it though. I love it. Yeah.
It is. Yes. It's Logan Cunningham by way of John Madden, like he's hamming it up a little bit. It's quite fun. There's a lot of that in this game, actually. I mean, this obviously is only true if you've played Hades, but if you have played Hades, so often you hear a character in Pyre and you're like, hey, I know them. I recognize that voice. It's so cool to see that Supergiant has been like so consistent with the talent they've used for so many years that you can like get a feel for voice actors and the types of characters they play. But in terms of narrative, I mean, really that's it. Beyond that initial setup leading into some stuff that we'll save for after the spoilers, that is kind of this is maybe a bit ironic of a word choice, but that is your North Star in the game, is you are trying to just move towards basically redemption. And a large part of your interactions with the other characters in the game is, everyone, I would say most people, not everyone, a lot of people start kind of guarded, and as you get to know them and learn more, you'll understand. I mean, you have to remember that everyone is cast down here for a reason, so essentially everyone in this place is a criminal of some kind. Now, the level of offenses, and obviously their rationale for doing them, changes a lot, but a big part of getting to know characters is like them slowly opening up to you and eventually sort of like telling you here's my life story up to and including, here's why I'm here. A lot of people kind of are a little guarded about that information at first. So it gives you every character, there's kind of like at least a built-in single guaranteed interesting plot point that you're just kind of fighting to achieve.
Hell yeah.
Such a cool game, so unique, so kind of out there, so Supergiant, so fun. I had a great time with this. I don't really have much else to say for like anything that's not spoilers, unless you guys do.
No, I'm good.
I don't. So we'll go ahead again. There will be spoiler discussion after this, so don't log off after we rank it. But we'll go ahead and put it on the quest log for folks that have forgotten what the heck the quest log is. It's at IndieQuestPod.com. It's our giant list of all the best indie games out there, split into 2 columns. We have the main quest, which is an all-timer, #1 banger. Go play it right now. We love it a lot. Then we have the side quest, which it's still a banger. Maybe not a banger with an exclamation point, maybe with a period, but still a banger. And it's either got some caveats, maybe it's a little more specific in the type of person's tastes that might enjoy it, or otherwise just has a little bit of a thorn that we felt like held it back from being a main quest. But as I always say, main quest or side quest, they're all worth playing. We don't discuss games we didn't like. If there's a game that we didn't like, it doesn't show up on the quest log at all. So if it's there, if you see it in text, it's worth playing. Now, when it comes to ranking Pyre, I'm curious to hear from Seth, because folks will recall in our previous episodes, we're on a streak of 2v1s. In Bastion, Josh and I overruled, hit him with a side quest when he wanted to main quest it. And then in Transistor, we did the reverso, and Josh and I hit him with the main quest when he was feeling a side quest. So not that I'm going to let it fly. I'm curious if you'll get the hat trick here, but at the very least, I feel like that earns you the right to express your opinion first.
So initially, I knew about the 3-on-3 sports ball. I did not know about the visual novel portion of this game. I don't know that I just never picked up on it. So initially I was like, And I remember even saying it to you guys, because you guys finished it much earlier than me. I paced myself over the past week, but I remember sending a message to you guys. I was like, oof, a little bit wordier than I thought it was going to be. And I was probably only a couple hours in, it's just a wordy game. But by the end, I suppose, and having seen the story through and having learned, because it is a little bit of a learning curve to play the game itself, I truly, personally believe that of the 3 Supergiant games that we have played so far, this is my favorite. So,
nice.
That means that I would main quest Pyre, because I obviously main quested Bastion.
Very cool. Interesting. Well, I thankfully, I guess, although it didn't seem to, shake you up too much, I went into the game with a full picture, because I had been, we mentioned we're going to do these episodes, and we get to talk into the Discord, and some people that have played it will express their thoughts, positive or negative. And so I knew going in it was a wordy game, and that held people back. So I entered it in like a visual novel mindset. I was ready for narrative. And I knew it was like sports adjacent, but I didn't know the mechanics of it. So I had a good high level picture going in. And maybe that helped me, because even though I do feel like there is the occasional part where maybe the narrative is a little slow, or the occasional part where some of the matches can feel a little samey, or the difficulty can be a little tilted in one direction or the other. All in all, as like a total package, I was just having so much fun, and I was so impressed. Honestly, the larger narrative to me was interesting, but it wasn't even the engrossing part to me. It was like the individual discussions with characters that kept me going. And so I think narratively, probably the best of the 3 so far. Mechanically, hard to even compare them. Certainly the coolest and most unique of the 3 so far. And I do think that for me, it probably slightly edges out Transistor, which would also make it my favorite of the three we've covered. It would also make it my second favorite under Hades. So for me, it's a main quest as well.
Awesome. I think I kind of lean more towards where Seth is, where at first I knew that it was a sport game of some type, and I like those games occasionally. I'm not going to go I don't pick up like NBA or anything like that. But if there's a good like arcadey sports game and it's available for me to play, I'm going to go have some fun with it. Not my main genre for sure. So I knew going in that it would take me a little bit longer to adjust to it because it's just not the style of game I play that often. So at first I sucked. And the thing about this game, which we didn't really even mention, is if you lose, you lose and you just keep going. You don't retry matches, nothing like that. You actually have a win-loss, 5-0, 5-2, whatever it is, throughout the entire game. And I thought that was really cool because it really made you feel like you had some ownership of, hey, I lost, I took my L's and I got all these W's as well, and I still won at the end. So beside all that, the game itself, for me, edges out Transistor by quite a bit. I actually think this is, so far, of the games we've reviewed, leaps and bounds better. I like it more than the other two. It took a little bit for me to get into it, and I was like, not feeling it. And then I just double hand fisted chug this game in 2 to 3 days. I'm just I just loved every minute of it. And when it was over, I was kind of like, should I replay this game? I was in that headspace, I was kind of wanted to jump right back in. I decided not to because there's just so much other things going on. But I feel like this is one I can pick up next year, play through it again, and just have just as much fun. So to me, it's a main quest, and just it's my favorite Supergiant game so far, and the ones that we reviewed, hands down.
Cool. Well, there you have it.
I'm personally bummed I did not play it on PlayStation because I would go for trophies. And and I played it on PC, and I don't know. I may jump back in. I have less incentive to do so, I suppose. But I'm jealous of Steve in that because I bought this game on sale for $3 at some point, right? So it's I made my money, or I didn't make any money, but I made my money for value, I suppose. But this is a really, really good game, and I'm happy that the three of us are finally in lockstep on one of these. So feels good.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's gonna suck next time when we're talking about Hades and I'm trying to side quest it, and you guys are like, "Oh yeah, it's a main quest," but it is what it is.
Good luck, buddy.
Yeah.
Good luck.
The internet will hate you.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding, everyone. I'm kidding. Okay. Oh well. So we got another one in the books here on the quest log. It's a main quest. Do we want to do a quick plug and then have a spoiler wall, and then we could jump into the story and everything?
Sounds good.
All right. You can find the show IndieQuest Pod on Blue Sky. You can send us emails, and we got some IQ OST recommendations. I think we're going to try to put together a whole OST of just community suggestions for songs, because we really enjoyed doing that last episode. So if you have some song suggestions, send them to the email. It's indiequestpod@gmail.com. If you played Pyre, you have any other comments about this game or any other game, or game series that we should review, let us know and send us an email there, or reach out to us on Blue Sky. Steve, where can they find you on the internet?
Twitch and Blue Sky as Blinkum. What about you, Seth?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Captain Drachma, and of course in the Polymedia Discord, best place on the internet. And if you want to get into that Discord, head on over to Patreon, search up Polymedia, jump into that first tier that gets you in the Discord, and come and hang out with us. Josh, where can they find you?
You can find me on Blue Sky at Josh Leslie, and you can find my other podcast, The Monthly Mishap, podcast all about entertainment movies with my buddy Chris. We just posted one recently, so go check that out. Also, just because I said that I would, my partner is starting the stream, so I wanted to plug that real quick. If you guys want to watch some cozy indie game streaming, go check out my partner Sar. They're going to be streaming a couple times a week over at Rogue_Crossing on Twitch. They're just having fun trying something new out, so I figured I'd send some love to them. Anyway, that's going to do it for the main portion of the show. If you want if you want to avoid spoilers, click away now, and we'll see you next episode. But if you played the game and you want to hear all the nitty gritty of what our choices were, listen to this track, and then we'll see you on the other side. Thanks for listening. Spoilers. Hey, if you're listening to this is all spoilers for Pyre. If you haven't played the game, please go play the game before you listen to this, because it's not going to make any sense to you. There's too many character names. There's too many proper nouns. Even if you don't care about spoilers, you're going to be lost because there's just too many. So go play the game, come back, and then we'll have this discussion, and you guys can listen to it. If you have played the game, it's going to make a lot more sense to you. You almost need a wiki with the character names in front of you just to remember who's who on this one. Yeah. So where do we want to start? What do you want to talk about? Our choices, or just the general story, etc.?
I'm most curious to learn. So, again, spoilers. Bah, bah, bah. If you're still here, it's your own fault. I am free of blame. You cannot take me to court. Obviously, like, the thing you're trying to do is you're trying to exile people in this game. You're trying to, or not, unexile, yes. I guess. You're exiling them from your current place, technically, but in reality, you're trying to redeem people, send them back to the Commonwealth. After the first time, which takes a while, it's like 5 or so hours into the game before you get to that point, you choose one of your characters. You as the reader, so you as the player, choose one of your characters that you will anoint. I forget the proper noun that they use. I think ascend. Back to the Commonwealth. From that moment, that character is gone. They are out of the story. Like, you will pretty much always get like one little like letter sent by them that gives like a here's what I did when I rejoined society. But beyond that, they will never speak to you again, and you will never learn anything more about them. So, and then from that point on, it kind of restarts. It sort of like loops. The narrative, like time-wise, it's not a time loop, but like you go back to preseason and then the main season, and then you work your way up to the championships again to try to once again ascend another character. And you do this multiple times until you literally are down to only the bare minimum number of people that can play the game. If you win all of those matches, because you can fail them and not ascend a character. So what I want to know from you two is, who did you choose first? And then generally, what was your order or strategy for releasing people from your team?
So the thing is, and I feel like I wonder, I guess a question to answer your question. Were you guys at all aware that this would happen? Because I used some of my favorite characters in battles up to that point in rights, and you can only send people or free people who have enough experience. So when you get there the first time, you're like, what? I had 3 choices, and they were 3 of my favorite characters, because it's like, well, it's like, oh, well, dang it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess to answer your question proper, I sent Jody, which seems probably like a terrible choice because she's, I imagine, very pivotal to the story, but the other 2 I didn't want to lose yet. I really didn't. So,
I think... Josh, I'll let you answer in a sec. I think when you get there, can you remind me, do you have 5 people on your team at that point?
How many people? At least
I think
5, if not 6.
I think you have the 3, you have Tizo, and then you have the Vagabond girl, right?
You also definitely have Sir Gilman, because Sir Gilman was a choice for me.
Oh,
yep. Sir Gilman. Yep.
I mean, we'll talk about it, but bro, I'm not sending Sir Gilman.
Oh, I'm not sending Sir Gilman. That's my boy. I need him right next to me.
Anyways, Josh, who did you send first? Was it Gilman?
No, I sent Hedwin first.
I also sent Hedwin first. Yeah, and it was not a choice I loved. I think my only choices were Hedwin. I think my 3 choices were Hedwin, Jodariel, or Tizo. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not getting rid of Tizo.
That dude is so good.
Yeah, I'm trying to win matches here, okay?
Okay, my question for that one is, did you guys ever end up sending Tizo even like near the end, or did you keep him throughout the whole time?
He was one of my last 3.
I did send Tizo because I think on my second way up, I had a terrible choice again. I think I either had to send Tizo, Sir Gilman, or Rookie. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I ain't sending Rookie. Not for nothing. That dude is my dog, literally.
Yeah.
I am not sending Rookie. And that's so terrible. And that's the thing that's so weird about Pyre. And I think that this is a very unique thought experiment about morality, right? That's what I love about it. When you send these people away, these characters, it's good for them. They want to go back. That's why you're doing this. But it almost feels a little bit selfish. Like you have this thing in your head where it's like, oh, like at the end, I felt terrible about keeping those 3 down, because it's like, they could have left. I could have chose them before. I wanted to use them for my own benefit. And now they're here. And they're not suffering. They're fine. But it's just, it's a weird, just this weird morality confliction, I suppose.
Yeah, I went ahead and sent my Vagabond girl like second or third, and then I was like, okay, she's up there, she needs a friend, so I sent Tizo like with her, because they kind of like did like a bond thing in the cabin in the wagon, and like they became like besties. So I'm like, okay, well, she's up there, so we definitely need to send Tizo next because he deserves to be with her. You know what I mean?
Okay, see that I like that. I tried to do a mix of practical ability team-based sends and narrative sends, because like, I could choose between Hedwin and Jodariel initially, but I'm like, I need Jodariel. Like, she's the defensive line. Like, she's the linebacker. Like, I need someone to protect my quarterback. And so I sent Hedwin, but I felt terrible about it because I was like, nah, bro, I don't know. I don't know jack about Hedwyn. Who's that guy? I never even met him. Barely know anything about him. And then my second choice to send was the hardest one for me because I had a plan. I personally was like, okay, I'm going into this one. I'm sending Rookie because my personal playstyle, I wasn't using Rookie. I was like, Rookie, he's my dud.
Oh yeah,
Get him out of here.
Oh.
And we'll talk about why that was the case. There's a reason, like my team composition, why I didn't need Rookie. I was like, Rookie's going. And then I got up there and I hadn't used Rookie enough, so I couldn't send him. So my only choices were the 3 people I use most often, which were Gilman, Tizo, and Jodariel at that time, and the Vagabond. And I felt so bad because the Vagabond, she's this character that you meet. She kind of like just joins as like a stray traveler, and she has no problems with being here. She does not really have aspirations to return to the Commonwealth. In fact, she is probably the most religious of every character that you meet. And she kind of feels like it's her calling from the gods, from the stars, to stay here in this place and like get the teams to connect with one another, to like not be so confrontational. So when I sent her, she was like, she wasn't like mad, but she basically was like, this wasn't what I was planning on.
Right.
Like, I guess maybe this is supposed to be my new path in life. And I was like, oh, it does not feel good narratively to send you, but I'm being selfish. I want to win. I need my dubs. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I sent. So I guess we're here.
Yeah.
What did you name your Vagabond? Each of you.
Mm-hmm.
What remind me what I'm forgetting off the top of my head. What's the naming scheme? They all are something.
They all end
with
in
a different
AE.
letter.
A.
I think it's AE.
AE,
Yeah. So it's like
Oh, yes.
it's like May,
I think mine was-
Zay, Tay, Ray. You know.
Yeah.
I think mine was Zay.
Yeah.
Like ZHEA.
Okay.
Or it might have been XHEA.
Yeah, that's the one I
forget.
did. Zay with X. That's what I did.
I think it was X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are edgy. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was born and raised on My Chemical Romance. So.
I did Bae, BAE.
Oh,
Nice.
only because of the flavor text. Did you guys read it? All the other ones were like, oh, this could be a good name because of this. This could be her name, and this makes sense, and blah blah blah. And at the time I didn't know. Like I thought maybe there were a couple right answers, and they would tell you like no. So I picked Bae because the flavor text said, this surely can't be it, right?
yeah.
And that was it. So they gave it
That's
to
the
her.
one.
That's
Yep.
cool. I like that.
Yeah.
I wanted to comment. I sent Joe Dariel second. My question for you, Seth, since you sent her first, when you meet Pamitha and like all the like harps and stuff, do you have any conversation about how there's like a rivalry there or anything?
Yeah, so that's why I know for a fact that there were several and I played it, I guess, quote unquote, more recently than you two by like a week. But Pamitha and Jody is what they call her in game. They were together in my party for a while, it seemed like. So I think that the characters that you have before you are allowed to send your first are Hedwyn, Gilman, Jody, Pamitha, Rookie, Tizo, and the Vagabond. You have all those characters. The only 2 you don't have are like the more mysterious, secretive characters, right? That
We're in the
say.
spoiler section, buddy. You can name and shame them.
Volfred, also known as Sandalwood, which is you hear of this Sandalwood for the first 3 hours. Like you kind of feel like he's like this, almost like godly being or something, but he's not really. Like he's just been there a long time. And then at first I didn't know how much I'd even care. I think it's hilarious how they set this up because you go through the bog and it's one of the lines that stuck with me. You go through like the boggy area and you meet Big Bertrude, and she's like, I can't remember. She's like selling stuff, or she tells you information, I assume, right? But Hedwyn asks her if she would like to come along, and she's like, oh, I don't appreciate you flirting with me like that or whatever, which is hilarious because she's like literally an old crone like bog witch, and Hedwyn is like a good-looking mid-20s guy, so he's like, no, I wasn't doing that. But eventually you get Bertrude as well, which is, I thought that her coming with the team was kind of weird. It was like, oh, you guys need another player, here's Bertrude.
It was a little bit of like, the game definitely, as your team thins, starts to throw you a bone, and like, we're gonna add one more option for you. So yeah, okay, you do have all those options. I feel like Pamitha, you probably don't have enough time or would really have to try to get her to the point where you can send her.
Right. Yes. You get her like right before. So there was no way. Like I said, I only had 3 options: Gilman, Jody, and Rookie at that time. I don't even think I had Tizo, or maybe it was Tizo instead of Gilman, because Gilman was gotten pretty recently. So I only had those 3, or 3 of those 4. I can't remember. But of those, first of all, Gilman is good in battle. And maybe we can get into this kind of character specific battle type stuff now.
Sure, yeah.
So Sir Gilman is a worm knight. Worm meaning WYRM, like dragon. Flightless dragon is, I think, what they technically are in fantastical stories. But the worms in Pyre are hilarious because they are that, like they are this like dragon-esque type, but they're like also literally WORM worms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which makes them hilarious characters. But honestly, Sir Gilman, very fast and very good in battle. But also, I loved his dialogue. So I never wanted to get rid of Gilman because he was always like, aha, like very knightly, right?
Yeah,
like
it was
very
funny.
stoic and like a paladin almost, right? He was always like, I will do what's best for everyone. It makes you want. I think he got drugged down there. They do some background story of him, but like got drugged down there for reasons that he shouldn't have been there because of the Pyre Hearts. And he was like, I'll go with them because it's the right thing to do. So then he got cast down too. He should have never really been down there, I don't think.
Yeah.
But Gilman, very fun character. I guess I'll take one more and then I'll pass it over to you guys and you guys can talk about somebody. But I'll do what could be easy, but is also kind of hard. Hedwyn is one of the original characters that you start with. He seems to be kind of the leader of your group, but not like, it's a weird relationship. The first 3 you start with are Hedwyn, Jody, Jodariel, and Rookie. And between those 3, it almost seems like Jodariel and Hedwyn share leadership in different ways. Like Hedwyn chooses where they go, but Jodariel is like very much the like last say almost on stuff. Like if she says, I don't like that, then Hedwyn's like, okay, we don't got to do that. I'm not going to ruffle your feathers. So, but Hedwyn's kind of like a blank slate character. I mean, he's got a cool backstory. He's got it turns out to be a harpy woman back in the Commonwealth that he really wants to get back to. It's his love, right? So, which he has some interesting with another character, Pamitha, some chats. But yeah, I mean, he just wasn't super interesting compared to a lot of the other characters, in my opinion. And his battle style is also not super interesting. He's very blank slate, basic. He's relatively fast. He does relatively good aura stuff. He's kind of okay. His aura around him is decent sized. He's just like the Mario of the group.
Yeah.
And there were just other characters that did things better. And if you're going to have a team of 3, unless I can have 3 Hedwyns, that would have been fine, but I can't, right? So I want some other strengths. And I guess since I mentioned Gilman, he is extremely fast. Sir Gilman is extremely fast in combat, and can also do this thing where he like leaves his aura behind him, and anyone that walks through it instantly dies, but also he can zap back to the start and like take out an entire group if they're positioned correctly. So now I pass.
Josh, let me know why don't you take
Okay.
it? Josh, tell me, what was your team
right.
and those characters?
Okay. So I would usually go with Tizo. Like he would always be like the first one I would pick usually. And then I would usually go with either I'm thinking Pamitha. I really like Pamitha. I think her charge attack was really fun to like if you timed it just right, like you could really do some damage. Like I would position her like around the enemy team, and then I would have somebody who was faster, maybe Tizo or something, maybe Ruki or something running, and then I would switch to her real quick and then dive bomb people who are about to get me with the ball, switch back to the ball carrier, you switch the ball, pass the ball back and then run it in. So she was just really cool. I liked her attack moves, and it's really fun to be able to fly over the little radiuses to the little auras. So it was a really versatile character. I really enjoyed using her. And then when we got Bertrude, like that's my girl right there. Like, oh my god, I started really getting into, because she just has that area of effect that's just so powerful. So like, so easy to strategize with, and I feel like her character, she doesn't care if she stays there. She has her bog. I don't need to ascend her, you know what I mean? So she's just like narratively good and like actually like mechanic wise really good. So a lot of times it would look like this. It'd be like Tizo, Pamitha, and Bertrude. The thing about that is there's times where they're like, you can get that, what is it, like poisoning or sickness poisoning or whatever, and you can't use those three characters, and then you're like, oh my god, what do I do next time? I just got to figure out a whole new strategy, So, but that's kind of how my build looked for the most part. So,
nice. You and I, it's funny that all three of us ended up playing very similar. So we didn't describe who Tizo is because there's not a lot narratively to Tizo, and Tizo's just like a fun character. They're a little like demon imp. I think it's a drive imp is the name in the game. And they can't speak English, but it's fun because this game has text where this game does the thing where like certain keywords or names you can highlight with your cursor and get like a little more context on. And Tizo talks just in like little scritty scrit sound effects, but every time you hover your cursor over the sound that he made, it basically like tells you what he was saying as if you're having a conversation with him, so you can still get dialogue from him and stuff like that. I thought it was well done. But yes, my game plan was always 2 speedy players and then 1 attacker, and I would always play it the same way. A lot of times I use Tizo as my attacker, even though he can double as a speedy boy, because Tizo's ability is that Tizo can like mega expand his aura and then blow up, killing everyone inside of it. And you can level that up over time to really increase the area of effect and significantly decrease his respawn time. So I would usually run in with Tizo, get like 2/3 of the way across, hiding behind some piece of the environment. I would expand my aura. Very frequently I would kill all 3 of the opposing team members, but sometimes 2, almost always at least 1. And then I would switch to a fast character, usually Sir Gilman, and like I just carved an opening down the center line, and so I would just speed across the map and take it. And that was how I played pretty much everything. If I couldn't use Tizo, or if I needed Tizo to be my fast character, Bertrude would serve that role, because Bertrude has an area of effect attack when she casts her aura. But importantly, she also can get an ability that makes it so her aura goes through objects in the environment. Which meant I could use the same strategy as Tizo, where I ran to the like closest object, hid behind it, and then just like blasted a shotgun from behind there at unsuspecting teammates. And that strategy carried me through basically the entire game. I did not lose a match.
Oh, really?
Like, I lost 1 match because there was a trophy for losing a match, but I was successful 100% of the time.
Did you never had to reset? Like, because I every once in a while I would have to reset and try. I know you don't have to, but I would try again, especially with Titan Stars active.
With Titan Stars, yes, I did reset.
Oh,
okay. You have to like win matches with like all the Titan Stars enabled and stuff like that, and I'm not going to clear that my first try. That's ridiculous. But there might have been 1 or 2 times where I did like restart the right without even thinking about it, but I would say 90%, 95% success rate for sure. At the end of the game, my actual leaderboard was whatever, like 30-0.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I had 1 loss because I didn't realize that you could take... I didn't know what would happen if you took a loss. And I took a loss to the Pyre Hearts, who are Sir Gilman's old team. Because what I would do... So you guys talked about your team strategy, right? A lot of times what I would do is I would try to like center my team around 1 character that I really liked, and then do 2 characters that were much less leveled, because I knew that I had to get everyone leveled up to send them eventually. So I would pick characters I didn't like. So sometimes I would have the Vagabond, and and I personally did not like Pamitha as much. I like Pamitha fine, especially once I started using her. I didn't use her a whole lot when I first got her, so I would have like the Vagabond and Pamitha around like Rookie or something, right? And do it that way. But my ideal team, especially towards the end of the game, and I think it's because I kind of released a lot of characters that I enjoyed, I would run with Rookie. I kept Rookie. So the last 3 that were there at the end were Rookie, Bertrude, and Volfred.
Yeah.
So which
same for me, minus Rookie plus Tizo, but yeah, Bertrude and Volfred were the last.
Okay.
Three.
And I got to the point where, and I remember we talked about this a little bit in Discord prior to coming on here. We talked about Volfred, and I said that, oh man, Volfred is clutch when you have a lot of Titan stars active, and you were like, you got to tell me about that because I wasn't a big fan of Volfred. So Volfred is like a very weird character compared to the rest of them. He's got aura, of course, but he moves like the slowest. He's stuck in the ground literally.
It's miserable. He's a tree, so
yeah.
To be fair, it makes sense.
But what I would do is I would put Volfred as my leader, and I would walk out far enough to be able to put he's got like a plant turret basically that has its own aura, and I would put it right on the ball. And they literally can't get it. They can't, as long as I keep Volfred alive, they literally cannot get the ball. Like they can't land there, they can't do anything. The turret, the plant has a shield. So that like carried me, and if you put Volfred next to it, it might be one of like his abilities that I leveled up. But if you put it next to it, his aura gets bigger and the plant's aura gets bigger. So now all of a sudden it's just these massive auras. So it is hilarious to watch a CPU opponent dance around this like thing. They're like, oh, like they don't know what to do. They're like, hot. And they like keep moving around it. And then I would just take Rookie and I leveled up Rookie to the point where I could have his aura last on the ground for like 500 extra % or whatever, and it would just be like, it would just sit there at like a river. So I'd put it out and then grab the ball and get them stuck on one side of the screen and just run down. And I also leveled up Rookie to the point where every time Rookie plunged, he would automatically respawn. So I always had
good.
3. Yeah. Yes.
That's awesome.
Yep.
You said you guys said you could reset their matches and be like before they're done. I didn't know that at all. I didn't.
You pause it and click restart. Right. The game actually, I feel kind of bad doing it because the game actually pops up like a little message and it says like, it's okay. You're not going to get a game over if you lose. Like you don't have to. The game will continue. You should not restart. Keep playing, please.
Yeah.
But
like, no,
sometimes I was like,
you.
thanks for that. Click.
Yeah.
I'm going back to the beginning.
Well, I was starting to get cocky, and I went to one of the rights, like the big rights where you let somebody go, and I actually failed. I failed one of mine because I put all the Titan stars on. I was like, I'll be fine. I put all the Titan stars on, and I got destroyed. So, like swiftly. So then I didn't have the ability to let everybody up there. So, yep.
I think I want to talk about that actually briefly. Yeah. I feel like, and you guys can let me know, maybe I'm just bad at this game. Once you have all Titan, I understand it's hard, but there is a Titan star that says your enemies are going to just be better, right?
Yep.
More cunning, I think they put it. And to me, all the other Titan stars, whatever, I can deal with them all. You put that Titan star on and you can see a significant difference. Like they are literal computerized gods. Like they know exactly. It's like they know what you're going to do. Like they can detect your inputs. And you guys tell me how you felt about this. I almost felt like it was unfair in a bad way because we'd be on one side of the screen and they know where their other players are and you can't even see them. They're off screen. Like I can't do that. I don't get to control my other characters. They're just chilling way over there. Like I don't know what they're doing, but they like position a character on the other side of the screen. They're like, boop, 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 boom. And then they send it down there, throw it at you. Like everything is so fast and so perfect. Like only a computer could do. I felt like there's no way that I could actually do that. I'd be like, What was that? Like, I can't physically do that. So I don't know you guys' thoughts.
Say like impossible star on that one. Like it really was that bad. It was terrible.
I mean,
yeah.
And that's why I had to cheese with Volfred, because it's like, if you're gonna screw with me, I'm screwing with you. Like you're not even gonna touch the ball. Like I'll just zone you off. And I understand that's part of the strategy, but they were able to fight that right on the harder setting in a way that a human, I felt, couldn't. Unless you got really, really good, maybe. I'm like, can I get good enough to this game to be able to do that? I just never, I almost, and this is my other issue with combat that I mentioned in the main show. I felt like it was, I understand in sports games why the characters you are not controlling run with you, because it feels like so much to try to manage 3 characters. And if you're not, I almost felt like I was playing as one character for 90% of the time and like not focusing enough on like making a good strategy with the other 2. So I guess thoughts on all that.
That's why I used Jodariel for a long time, because her aura is so massive that you can just kind of like stick her in a choke point and then switch off of her to somebody else.
Yeah.
And play as a fast character. But yeah, like, I talked about that once I moved away from using Jodariel and I had my like 2 fast, 1 DPS strategy. The third character, they were essentially useless to me, because I had the one character that I would attack with in position, and then I had the character that I would actually be manipulating the ball with. The third one would just be there like basically as a pinch hitter in the event that I still messed up with my runner.
Yes.
Like I would not effectively be using all 3 of my people, because it is a lot to manage. You can do versus. Do you know? Can you play 3-on-3? Can you play with 3 people with one person controlling each character?
I don't think so, but that would be epic.
That would be so much fun. It would be like a different game almost, but man, that would be wild.
God, that would be amazing. I could see a competitive form of that. Like, oh my gosh, that would be incredible. I would love that. You could, especially if you can talk to your teammates and like position specifically, like, oh, I see what they're doing. Like we can move in this formation. Like, oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah. But I generally agree with you that it's hard to manage all 3. And that kind of goes back to why I didn't like Volfred. Like you'd think that he would be good for that, right? Because he can do what you did, where you like kind of position him as just like a big aura wall and leave him. And that's true, but I had Jodariel that could do that for most of the time. And my problem with Volfred is that sometimes you get in the situation where your slow person has to run the ball, right? Like you mess up and the other 2 are gone and you got to take them. And Volfred moves so slow, and his attack is like he like dives underground and pops back up when he dashes. And I would so often like pop past the enemy Pyre when I thought I was going to land on it, and then a character would like respawn and kill him, and I'd be like,
damn it.
Well, there goes 2 minutes of my life. God.
I personally leveled Volfred up so that his dash was like 200% of normal. I think his talisman does that, if I remember correctly. And I made it so that he moved faster with the ball.
Oh, okay, that would help a lot.
So he was just moving quick enough that I kind of got the timing, or I guess the distancing down on the dash, so I could very often get super close to the Pyre. Like I pretty easily, without even thinking about it, got the 200 Pyre damage with Volfred. Like, because I just got good enough. And to your point of like positioning Jodariel, the reason I like Volfred more for that is because Jodariel is still completely susceptible to taking someone else's aura when she's just standing in the middle. Whereas I could always position Volfred behind a wall, but having him touch his aura for the plant and just make this massive thing, right? So they couldn't easily get to him, or I would still kind of watch him. Whereas with Jodariel, I feel like I got her killed a lot. At least that was my experience. And she was great for that, but also very slow and just this huge hitbox. And she would just get wrecked in the middle if I tried to do that. So that was my experience. I will say that I really didn't want to lose Tizo. Like it was up to between Tizo and Gilman. Tizo is kind of busted. Like Tizo's super good. That dash.
Yep.
It's so fast.
Playing against Tizos, I was just like, oh my, this is like Jesus. Like they just, what do you do? Like they're just so fast. So, yeah, but that was I guess my experience with it. My favorite character was probably like in combat. The way that I built him was probably Rookie, but honestly, second was probably Volfred for endgame and kind of the strategy that I built up. So.
Yeah, I think my favorite like playing is still Bertrude. I just think she's versatile, and she has that little dash thing, like basically on ice skate. That's how it felt to me, making her go a little bit faster.
Slippery.
And she was when she got the ball, she still had the stuff to get it delivered, So and then she had the area of effect. So yeah.
I leveled her so that her aura went through all the objects. And
Yep,
it almost felt cheating. Like it was like
it was so
OP.
OP.
Yeah,
but it's the fun part of these type of games is finding that busted build and going for it, though. I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it is fun. Yes.
Yeah, but don't send Tizo, people. Tizo's it's like S rank in all categories, fastest and best dash, which you can also upgrade to use even less stamina.
Oh my gosh, I know.
And then can explode in a massive AoE for offense, and then also can fly. Like,
yeah.
What can Tizo not do?
He's so busted. I know. That was what kind of felt weird. Like, I feel like if now that Pyre's out, if they ever wanted to make a Pyre 2, like, they could make it a lot more balanced and a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there were notes. I wrote notes down like, man, I wish that I could recruit other parties' characters. Like, if I could have gotten Barker, like, that would have been awesome. And, like, have him and Rookie talk to each other in the wagon and stuff like that. And just, that would be really cool for Pyre 2. Honestly, a big note that I wrote down was if you would have just made this like a turn-based tactics game, I would have eaten it up. Like, allow me to move my characters individually, still escorting, but you can like position yourself against the enemy. I think that would have resolved a lot of the issues, and I would have actually used my 3 characters evenly if I'm using them as a team to move down the field. So.
Yeah, it could have had some transistor energy in there, and it would have worked well.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. So, who did you choose last? Did you choose yourself, or did you choose the other guy from the other team, the old team, or who'd you choose?
I chose Volfred.
Okay.
Because it was Volfred's plan. But then, because I thought, if I send Volfred back up, he would be able to complete the plan of the Commonwealth that he came up with, right? He would make sure it was brought to fruition.
Right.
But as soon as I chose Volfred, and maybe this happened to you guys too, he told me, no, you go, right? And I suppose that's what they all do. And since Volfred was kind of like the group's daddy, I just went then. I'm like, they were like, time's a ticking. And I didn't want to like choose Volfred again and then have him be like, no, you go. And then they do that like Spider-Man meme. So I just went then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I resisted my inner Minnesotan and said, I'm not going to return the favor with the same favor as we are wont to do. And so I also tried to send, it might have been Volfred, because I was like, the same logic as you, that he feels fitting to go up there and kind of round out the plan and make sure that it happens. And yeah, he did the same thing. And you can choose to send him again, the other person on your team, or I think you can choose to send that other guy, right, Josh?
Yeah, the guy for the other Nightwings guy.
Oralek,
yeah.
Oralek, yeah.
If you go, like, his story's super sad if you don't send him, right? He just basically disappears, maybe kills himself, ? There's like kind of,
I think
yeah.
He does, yeah, but also I forget, there was a reason I didn't send him. Volfred basically says to him, like, if we send you, will you help the plan? And it, like, in a stubborn final moment, Orlik's like, no, I'm gonna be a shithead as originally planned.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can't control me. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna choose myself then. That feels like the best narrative conclusion to me. So yeah, the folks that were left behind in the end were Tizo, Bertrude, and Volfred for me.
Right. I sent myself, and I think the people that were left is Pamitha, because I think that's because I failed though. That I think that's she would have went up at some point otherwise, and then it was Volfred and Bertrude. I think that's 3. No, there had to be 4 because, like I said, I missed one. So I think I never sent Rookie back. Yeah, so it's 4. So yeah.
I got rid of Rookie so fast. I tried to get rid of Volfred so fast, but I hadn't used him enough, so I had to send Pamitha in my second to last one. And I was apologizing to Pamitha, like, sorry, this wasn't supposed to be you, but Volfred doesn't carry his weight, so he's not getting sent. Just rapid fire. My order was I sent Hedwyn first, then the Vagabond, then Rookie, then Jodariel, then Gilman, then Pamitha. And the last couple, Gilman and Pamitha, I was like, no, don't go, my team.
Yeah.
But all the same. I'm assuming this was the case for you, but was the grander scheme successful? Before I ask that, I should say to people, kind of like the narrative thrust of the game, in addition to redeeming these characters, is that Volfred Sandalwood has this plan to essentially like spark a resistance insurrection and like overtake the current form of government and or religion. They're kind of like synonymous with one another in this game, back in the Commonwealth. So you're sort of like sending quote unquote traitors back to the Commonwealth, and he's kind of like throughout the game he's kind of trying to like talk you into like, make sure the people you send are committed to the plan, right? Like, we want this thing to work. And the game even, I don't know if you saw, but in the start menu it even has like a percentage success chance.
Yeah.
On like the scoreboard it'll say like there's a 56% chance that the resistance will be successful. Which is partly why I sent him in the end, because I figured that he would tick that number up to 100.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the resistance was ultimately successful, and the government did get overthrown because, again, I never lost a liberation right, which I assume basically guarantees it.
Yeah, same here. Even though I did lose one, I still ended up victorious in the end. So I think I feel like that story beat is pretty forgiving as long as you're sending people that are like 4. If you send like the original 3, or at least most of them, they're gonna probably win. I feel like that just really ticks it up a lot. So
yeah, it was also successful for me. I wonder what a playthrough would look like with you intentionally losing all of those rights.
It would be fun, right? To do one where you just whiff it.
I mean,
yeah.
It seems like, and maybe this is not connected, but it almost seemed like the rights were coming to an end because you were overthrowing. I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. Maybe the stars were just going to die out and that was it. But it seemed like they kept getting progressively, the voice, the old Nightwings guy, was getting progressively more upset that you were interfering with the typical, the way things were, or the way things typically went. But yeah, do you guys I had one regret. Do you guys have any regrets about anything that you sent? Josh, do you remember who made it up when you failed? Like which enemy?
It was, shit. His like purple outfit. He was
the dog?
It wasn't the dog. It was damn, I forget. No,
the Accusers guy, like the regular guy.
I think so.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think it was him. I can't remember. It was either him or one of the harpies. No, I don't know. It wasn't really that important. That's why I can't remember.
Right.
Like, you just get the little note saying, "Oh, they're doing evil things." They're just doing what they're doing, and that's it. It wasn't anything. It would have been better to have like a note from a character you cared about. You know what I mean? Yeah. So
right. My biggest regret, or the thing I was bummed out about, where at the time when I went against their team, I was like, "Yeah, screw you. You are not very nice person." But I wish that I would have sent, because Pamitha was begging to allow Tamitha back up, like let her win. And I was like, I'm not letting her win. She's such a, you know what? She's not very nice to me or anyone on our team. So why would I send her up? But then later on, I just wish that I would have been able to send both Tamitha and Pamitha to see their relationship rekindle, because I have a feeling it would have if they were both up there together.
Yeah,
but
that makes sense.
Yeah. I had the same regret. That's like the one maybe point against the fact that I was also working on the trophies at the same time, is like I had a little bit of fear that throwing a match might throw off my ability to get like the best ending or something like that. But I think if that wasn't the case and I was true to my heart, I would have thrown that match, because I had the same guilt where I was like, I should throw for Pamitha even if I dislike Tamitha.
Yeah.
Which, if you haven't played the game and are somehow this deep in, Pamitha and Tamitha are two different characters.
They're sisters. Yeah.
Yeah, they're sisters. Harpy sisters or winged sisters.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, other characters I wouldn't have mind going were like the dog, or the dog probably would have sent his son, who had like, I don't know if you guys held on to the vagabond long enough, but like I had her pretty long, to the point where she was like developing a friendship with the dog's son. So that was,
it seemed like it was like almost a romantic interest.
Yes.
For part of it. Yeah.
It was interesting.
Like the old man was like ribbing his kid. He's like, "This is about your age, sonny."
Yeah. Like every character in the Nightwings very clearly has a foil or like another character on a different team, where if you sent both of them, you probably get more story about them. Like, I assume like you send that guy up in Bay, that they probably both help the Resistance, the plan. Like the one demon dude, if I would have sent him back up with Jodariel, I wonder if they would have, because he kind of like talks about when you go against him, like, I wonder how she's doing, like curly horns or something like that, whatever he calls her, right? So you just kind of feel like they all have some sort of relationship that could be pursued if you decide to go that route. But that's the kind of brilliant thing about Pyre, is everybody's playthrough is going to be different because of all the choices you can make.
That's a good example, because you sent Jodariel first, right?
Yep.
That guy you're talking about, who looks exactly like the main character of Brutal Legend, might I add. He's like all chin.
Yes.
Or maybe the guy from the cover of Full Throttle, one of the two.
He reminded me of Hellboy, but yeah.
Hellboy, yeah, same thing. He and Jodariel do kind of like spark a little bit of a romantic interest as the game goes on. I didn't keep Jodariel long enough to like see it all the way through, but like they have a little bit of like a back and forth, you know, mixed in with Jodariel's very like terse,
stoic,
stubborn, stoic energy. But yeah, there's a little, you know, love can bloom on a battlefield type thing going on there.
Nice. All right. Well, any other final comments? I can't really think of much, but I do think the story ended up resolving really well. I thought it was like my story is my story, but I still kind of want to play it again and just throw a couple matches, see what happens, see if that villain goes up and that character goes up. If they, like you were saying, they interact, or, you know, it just be interesting to do another playthrough to see what like a B story of my adventure through the world would be, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like with a lot of visual novel leaning games, they don't allow for this much choice.
Mm-hmm.
So even in the visual novel field, and the fact that this is like a sports game, this is also very unique for a visual novel. Even you're literally almost writing your story, and you're not entirely. It's like a choose your own adventure. It almost reminds me of Beacon Pines without like the choices right there in front of you. You can do almost anything in this game. It's kind of cool. Like, that's why I said, how interesting would it be to send lose every single liberation right and just see what happens?
Like, I would love to do that playthrough.
Yep.
The one thing, like the strongest compliment I can play to the story overall is that it is very hard to write a story that ends the exact way they tell you it's going to end and the exact way that you expect it to end and still have it interesting, right? Like, Pyre does not throw like a crazy twist or raise the stakes or anything in the 11th hour. Like, you and your teammates are working to get as many people out as you can and spark this revolution. and it ends with you getting as many people out as you can and sparking a revolution, and it's still interesting the entire way through, which is like it's just a testament to how strong the characters are written and the interactions are written, and just like the minute to minute is. So yeah, Pyre's a banger, man. I'll go to bat for this game anytime. I understand and I'm sympathetic to why people didn't like it as much, but this like almost more than any other game, I would want to go back to people and be like, man, give it a second try with fresh eyes, like new perspective, understanding what the game is. Go back in and try it again because it's really good.
Yeah. Hades is Hades, right? You know, it's a monolith of indie gaming, but I can see now why people go, Pyre is better than Hades. I like Pyre more because this is a specific flavor. It's a completely different thing than Hades. It's almost impossible to compare them one for one. So your taste is going to be pretty much aligning with which one you think is better or which one you like more, really. Mm-hmm. If you lean more towards narrative, you lean more towards like quick pick up and play, like sports games and narrative, like you really are like, you're going to be probably saying Pyre is your favorite. But if you were just like, hey, I love this roguelike nature, you know, you're going to get Hades. So, I mean, I could see is somebody going back after finishing Hades and even Hades 2 maybe, and they're like, oh, I just need some more Supergiant. Give Pyre a shot, like if you're still listening somehow through all the spoilers. But I think that they might find something in there that they're just not finding in other Supergiant games, obviously. And yeah, it's something special.
I think my final word on Pyre is that Hades is the game that Supergiant made to appeal to the masses, seemingly. Pyre is the game that Supergiant made for Supergiant.
Yes, It really has the energy of like, even if this game sells no copies, we've already made enough money on Bastion and Transistor, It doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. We have 2 games worth of cash in the bank, so we're just going to do our thing and see what happens. And I love it for that. So that's a really good point.
Absolutely.
Well, I think that's going to wrap us up today. We'll come back and talk about Hades and then eventually Hades 2 in some months from now when we fit it in the schedule and we all want to play more Hades and get back into that. So it's probably going to be after New Year's now at this point, right? We'll get to it. So next year. I know it sounds like a far away, but that's only 4 months away. That's like nothing. Yeah. So, yeah. Thanks for listening. And if you have comments about story or anything from Pyre, give us an email. Send us an email, IndieQuestPod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, everybody. And see you on the next one, I guess. Bye.
See you.
Afraid and alone. When they arrived, the book of rights awakened the night wings and ignited the flame. They follow the stars bound together, strands in our brain till the end. We sing of the last of the night wings who, having broken the cycle, shall live on in song. Headwind was there and proved to all that he was no deserter. He stayed true till the end.
Captain Joe Dariel, keeping watch over all of the night wings. She stayed true to the end.
Rookie Greentail, small in size but vast in commitment. He stayed true to the end. They follow the stars bound together, stayed true till the end.
He's all the wise, ever faithful to the cause of the night wings. He stayed true to the end.
Sir Gilman the Bold, ever in his quest, finding honor and glory, he stayed true till the end. Hameth the Thane, born on guilty wings, ever seeking forgiveness, she stayed true till the end. They follow the stars bound together, strands in a braid till the end. Bound together, spirits tether, strands unbroken, strands unbroken. The great mastermind, Wolfred Sandalwood, saw his plans turn to action. He stayed true till the end.
The bog dweller Gertrude kept her foes at bay with her finest enchantments. She stayed true till the end.
The reader at last made the night wings whole, having bound them together. They stayed true till the end. They follow the stars bound together, strands in a braid till the end. They follow the stars bound together, strands in a braid till the end. Now at the end, as we bid farewell and return to the stars, we shall find our way home. We shall find our way home. We shall